Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Bog Panda, a very special Bog Panda, our 2023 Halloween Spectacular. I am Kelly, and joining me as always.
I am Dr. Mike with the ginger ale for you soda cucks out there. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, turn on notifications, leave a couple of comments, especially on this one. I would leave separate comments for each part of what you're about to see. You're going to want to revisit this video multiple times. And after you've watched it a few times, you're going to want to order some merch from our merch store. Come back and rewatch it with a fresh t shirt of ours on.
And there might be a t shirt reference in the show, as a matter of fact, in the
See how we
story.
did that?
Pretty fancy. Um, so, so what did you think, Mike, about this approach? We've done a couple Halloween specials now. I really liked how this turned out. I think people.
Yeah, so did I. Kelly came up with this great concept for this one. It's different than what we've done in the past, but I think it was a super great idea. It's definitely something that could have gone the other way, but luckily we have talented friends.
Yeah, yeah. It all kind of was going to stand and fall on that. And so what we did is we decided to share with you for Halloween a scary story, and we're going to have chapters to the story, and a mild error of judgment. Dr. Mike will be handling chapter one, so you'll kind of get things going. But then we brought in some of our friends. We brought in Dylan, Rebekah Kennedy, and Allison Victoria-Wolfe, and we gave each of them a chapter. And with no advance warning, as we brought them on to record, we said, okay, here's where it starts and here's where it ends. And everything in the middle is up to you to decide. So they had all of like 4 or 5 minutes to figure out their story and tell it. And they did not disappoint. They all rocked it, each in their own unique way. And so the story moved along really, really well. So I think you're going to enjoy it. We're looking forward to you folks seeing it. So without further ado, here's the Bog Panda 2023 Halloween Spectacular.
Before I get started, I just want to state that Kelly approved of all of this. Chapter 1, DHB. As the car pulled out of the lot, Mike kept his eyes down. So much blood. He was never the squeamish type. Hell, 5 years as a doctor had prepared him for almost anything, so he thought. Don't forget the oath, Kelly barked from behind the wheel, dead eyes fixed on the road in front of them. You see, Kelly and Mike were more than friends or co-hosts. They were dead hooker buddies. Anytime, any place, if one of them needed help disposing of a body, the other would drop everything and swoop in for the assist. Dead Hooker Buddy t-shirts are available in the merch store. Remember, grab a second one for your DHB. Makes a great Christmas gift. But I digress. Tonight was different from the many, many times Kelly had called on Dr. Mike. The carnage he saw in the brothel had him considering a new line of work when a loud pop sent the car careening towards a ditch. Luckily, Kelly had experience behind the wheel and was able to pull over to the shoulder. We need to move before 12 shows up, he said with no emotion. Within seconds, he was out of the car and making his way to the trunk. Let's grab the body and head for that old house on the hill. Mike slid down in his seat until the structure was visible. That wasn't any old house. It was Webb Manor.
Chapter 2, The Portrait of Gerald Webb. This is what happened. All of a sudden, Mike and Kelly and the dead hooker thing over there came into the entryway of Webb Manor. And in this manor, middle of the manor, right there, giant ass picture of just hard to describe what they were looking at. Kelly and Mike looked at each other and kind of confused, like, what are we looking at here? As they look down at the bottom of the picture, it says the name Gerald Webb. And Mike and Kelly again look at each other like, why does that name sound familiar to us? They look down at the hooker to see if she knows. She's not answering. So they're like, They start looking around the house a little bit. It's, what you expect. It's rustic haunted, as they call it. Not exactly what they were expecting, but in the end, they said, okay, this is a good place to stay low for a little bit while we try to figure out what we're going to do next. Maybe there's some kind of electricity or something, or we can figure out, or maybe there's another car we can take, or I don't know. We got to figure this out. So Kelly and Mike start thinking about what they're going to do. And they look back at the picture. And Mike's like, wait a second. Was that horn always there? The horn on his head. And Kelly's looking at it too, is like, I don't remember it, but it looks pretty awful to me. So they're like, okay, that's kind of interesting. So they decide, okay, maybe what we should do is let's maybe split up. We'll just leave the hooker right here by the picture, and let's look around, see if we can find something. So Mike goes to the left, and Kelly goes upstairs. And as they're walking around, they look back, and the dead hooker is looking back at them with her dead eyes. And Kelly shivers for a second, and Mike starts to go, dude, it's your fault. And then they separate. So we follow Kelly up the stairs creaking like nothing. All of a sudden, he sees movement, and it's a rat. It's like, oh, great, there's just what I need, is another rat. And then there's more movement. And then there's a giant snake following the rat. He's like, oh, great, this is not what I needed. And he says, maybe I shouldn't keep going that way. So he turns to the right, away from the rat and the snake. So he goes and sees a room, or rather I should say a door, golden door, and he's like, huh, let's see what's in here, because why not? Creepy place, gold room, door, why not? Opens the door, and we cut to Mike. Mike is looking around like, okay, this is kind of interesting. And Mike's area, there's nothing downstairs. It's just dust and dirt and old tables and old posters of, looks like, I don't know, some kind of shark or something. I don't know. And then Mike's like, this is boring. So he walks back to check on the dead hooker, and he looks up at the picture again. And then there's something else now. A third eye has popped up on this face, and they're starting to show signs that the face is melting. And Mike is like, what in the absolute hell is going on here? It's kind of cool looking, but it looks pretty bad. So he's like, I'm going to move on here and see what's over this way. So we follow back up to Kelly. Kelly walks through the golden door, and it is a completely golden room. Gold bed, gold toilet in the corner, gold windows, gold mirror, and what looks to be someone's poor attempt at gold Oscars. He's like saying, I think I kind of understand now. Gerald Webb, wasn't he some kind of low-level B crappy actor from the 1990s or 2000s? I kind of remember some of that shitty stuff he was in, but he never won a medal. He never won the Oscar. What are you talking about? And where the hell you get all this gold? I don't know. And he keeps walking around the room, sees nothing of interest of him, and then says, you know what, this is stupid. Walks out the door, looks down the lane. The rat being chased by the snake is now being chased by a mongoose. And and Kelly's like, what the hell is going on here? It's like, I don't want to go down that way because I have no idea what's going on. She's like, let's go see what Mike's up to. So as Kelly starts walking down the steps, he passes by the painting again, looks down at the hooker first, make sure she's still dead, looks up at the painting, and by now he's like, what the god-awful shit is this? The face now appears to be all melted and wrinkly. One eye is down on his cheek. The other is here. The third eye has turned into a big black mass. And Kelly's like, this really is a bad painting, whoever did this. That was awful. All of a sudden, he hears a blood-curdling scream from the dining room.
Chapter 3, The Hidden Staircase. Kelly and Mike, as they're dragging the body through the room, they hear a blood-curdling scream coming from the dining room. They drop the bag and run to see what is happening. What is that scream? Where did it come from? Who screamed? And as they walk, because that's what they do, as they walk into the room, they see a long dining table, and it's wooden, with 8 chairs around the dining room table. They look down, and it's at the very end of the table, they see something on a dish. They're not quite sure what, but it's glistening in the light. Maybe there's some blood. They're not quite sure because it's a long table and they're far from it. So Mike says, we should investigate. And Kelly says, no, we shouldn't. We should go back the other way. But Mike insists they go and see what is on the plate, the platter, and if that was from the scream. So they slowly walk down on the carpet, trying not to make too much noise because they don't know who else is in the house. And as they get closer, they see blood and a head and hair, and they realize it's a bloody head. And Mike screams, and Kelly says, I told you we shouldn't have come down here. And they slowly turn to look to see who it was, and it is a woman who's dead. What do we do? Mike says. Kelly says, we left the body back at the other room. I don't know. So they look around. They don't see anyone around. They have no idea who this head belongs to. They're wondering, should we take it with us? Should we leave it? Should we call 911? They don't have phones. They don't know what to do next. So they see a bunch of doors in the dining room. So they decide to open them and see what's inside, because why not? So as they open the first one that's close to the head, Mike screams again as he sees the rest of the woman's body hanging there, just dripping blood, just her neck down. And Kelly says, well, obviously that is the rest of the body from the woman. And maybe we should call her Jill, and in respect for her. So they slam that door shut because that's not going to happen. But then they think of a really good idea because there's several doors around. So Mike says, an idea. And Kelly looks at him and goes, I know what you're thinking. So they run to get the body bag. They drag it with them because it's very heavy. They open the next door, shielding their eyes. But thankfully, when they open them, there's nothing in there. Nothing scary anyway. It's just a closet. So they stuff the body into the closet, shut the door, and think. They both say aloud, we'll just leave her here for someone else to deal with. So then they decide they're going to open the last door that's sitting there because they have to see what's inside. So they slowly open it just in case there's any other body parts inside. They slowly open it, and behold, there is a staircase. And they both look at each other. Should we do it? They could easily just leave. The curiosity gets the better of them. And they slowly decide to creep up the attic. But of course, Mike makes Kelly go first, just in case anyone's waiting for them. So they slowly creep up the stairs, and there's a door at the top. They jiggle it. It's unlocked. They slowly creak it open, and there's an attic.
Chapter 4, Up on the Roof. Kelly and Dr. Mike slowly but surely climbed up the stairs of the attic. They were sopping wet at this point from the storm outside that was blowing in the wind. As they entered the attic, they began to look around, and that's what they thought. There was a chest in the corner. They quietly quietly tiptoed, Kelly in his ballet slippers and Dr. Mike in his tutu, and they quietly went up to the chest. They opened the chest and boom! There jumped out a cat. But the cat was dead. So then they continued on their journey. They looked through the chest, and all of a sudden they heard it. The slow clapping of an audience enthralled in exactly what was going on. Hello? Hello? At this point, Kelly decided to take off the ballet slippers and to put on his raincoat because it's raining and they were going outside. And Dr. Mike peered around. He took the dead cat, skinned it, and put it on his head, kind of like a rain hat. And that's the next thing that happened. They saw the window. What was that? What was that? There was someone outside. They knew it was him. The clapping gave him away. It was the actor from that 80s movie that everybody hates, but for some reason we watch every Halloween. They climbed and climbed in his raincoat and his cat hat. And then it happened. The confrontation up on the roof.
Chapter 5, The Truth Revealed. As Dr. Mike and Kelly scrambled onto the roof, they were face to face with possibly the world's worst actor in a hideous, ugly shirt. "I will destroy you all," he said, doing his best to be intimidating, but neither Dr. Mike nor Kelly were intimidated. They prepared for the greatest battle of all time. It would be bloody. It would be messy. There would be explosions and fire and swords and angry wombats. And as they prepared to fight, Dr. Mike woke up. As usual, Dr. Mike woke up in a pool of his own vomit and filth. He blearily looked across his ridiculously dark studio, inappropriate to record YouTube videos, and saw the slowly flickering light on his monitor. He slowly crawled across the cold, moist floor till he reached the chair, dragging his body up to the keyboard. He closed the 47 other tabs open on his browser to unique content and typed a message. "Hey Kelly, I have an idea for the 2023 Halloween special, and I'd like to write the first chapter."